Prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Greetings and happy St. Patrick's Day. We are in our Lenten season, and we wanted to connect with you during the week and focus upon following Jesus and focus upon his words. This year, our study is out of Luke and the Sermon on the Plain, and it's all teachings of Jesus, and it's found in Luke chapter 6, verse 17 through 49. So it's not as long as the Sermon on the Mount. So I encourage you to stay in the book of Luke. And today I'd like to share that with you and maybe a couple thoughts. And I'd like us all to consider us as disciples, and that we too are with Jesus, and when he's healing or teaching, that he's talking to us, students who are wanting to learn from his words. And everything that will be read tonight will be the words of Jesus. They're in red in a lot of your Bibles. Beginning in verse 17. He came down with them and stood at a level place with a great crowd of his disciples and a great multitude of people from all Judea, Jerusalem, and the coast of Tyre and Sidon. They had come to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. And those who were troubled with unclean spirits were cured. And all in the crowd were trying to touch him, for power came out of him and healed all of them. Then he looked up at his disciples. He looked up at us, and he said, "Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, and they exclude you, revile you, and defame you on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for surely your reward is great in heaven, for that is what their ancestors did to the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. Woe to you who are laughing now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all speak well of you, for that is what their ancestors did to the false prophets. But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you, and if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I love that the first doctrine the church came up with, really the Nicene Creed, was all about what to believe. And as we hear the words of Jesus, it's all about what to do. And the Nicene Creed has really nothing for us to do. And I think when we're focused on doing, it unites us. And so I hope we hear what we're called to do and what we're called not to do in the words of Jesus as we continue. Because we're called to love. Verse 32, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. I was liking those words, do not judge, because I like to think, well, we're not judgmental, we don't judge, but the thought of assuming what other people think is something that I know I'm guilty of. And so that is a direct form of judgment. And so I've been trying to work on that during this Lenten season, and using my words and asking questions and trying to find out what people really do think and not just assuming, listening. Then Jesus goes on to tell them a parable. Can a blind person lead a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully qualified will be like the teacher. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, friend, let me take out that speck in your eye, when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly and take the speck out of a neighbor's eye. One of my favorite Lenten type stories about Gandhi is one where this woman had waited for days outside of his tent to come in and finally see him with her son, who she was really worried about because this kid was eating so much sugar. And she finally got in to see him and said, will you please tell my son and ask him to quit eating sugar? It's so bad for his health, and you know his body is a temple and all these things. And he said, come back in 2 months. And the woman comes back and waits in line for hours again and finally gets in to see him. And when she makes the same plea, Gandhi gets up and he goes to the son and puts his hand on him and says, please stop eating sugar. He said, it's bad for you and it has this great effect on the kid. And he's changed, and I will not do it again, Mom. I'm going to be good from this point on with sugar. And then on the way out of the tent, the mom turns and looks at him and says, why didn't you just do that 2 months ago? And Gandhi looks at the woman and says, 2 months ago, I was eating way too much sugar. And I really love that story on the speck in the eye. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. Figs are not gathered from thorns, nor are grapes picked up from a bramble bush. The good person out of the good treasure of the heart produces good, and the evil person out of the evil treasures produce evil. For it is out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you? I will show you what someone is like who comes to me, hears my words, and acts on them. That one is like a man building a house who dug deeply and laid the foundation on rock. When the flood arose, the river burst against that house, but could not shake it, because it had been well built. But the one who hears and does not act is like the man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the river burst against it, immediately it fell, and great was the ruin of that house. May God bless you during this Lenten season, and may God bless you in the hearing of the Sermon on the Plain in Luke's Gospel. Well,
Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. Take my moments and days. Let